Hi, I'm Ajay Salpekar. I'm the head of beauty at TikTok Shop for the US, and this is the CPG Guys.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the CPG Guys. I'm Shri, your co-host, co-founder and CRO of Think Blue Consulting, your partner to growth. Whether retail, media, omnichannel, or back to basics in store, we're here for you. Get in touch with me at Shri at thinkblueconsulting.co. That's again, thinkblueconsulting.co, not C-O-M. Unable to join me for today's episode because we are shooting this live at my home in California. And so Peter could not join us because he's in the air returning from the Digital Food and Bev conference down in Palm Beach. And when he's not doing this with me on the CPG Guys, he leads the client engagement at Flywheel, the e-commerce accelerated division of Omnicom. Please do listen to my older daughter, Ria Raj's music, www.riaraj.com. This week, she's at MTV in the UK, so more to come on that. You will find me post about that. And Lara Raj, of course, my younger daughter, as a member of the Geffen Records group Cat's Eye, who, of course, have another worldwide super hit, millions and millions of plays. TikTok famous, Instagram famous, YouTube famous. The song is gnarly. Before we get to our guests, we want to ask you to consider following us in your preferred podcast listening app. If you already don't do so, please do give us a rating and a review on the Apple Podcast platform. Why ask you to do that? The rating tells us how we're doing. The review tells us whether we're having the right conversations with the right people. So now to our guest. Ajay Salpekar is the head of beauty at TikTok Shop, where he leads the growth of the beauty category on the platform. In this role, he collaborates with national beauty brands to craft their TikTok Shop strategies, explore creator and content-led e-commerce, and drive sales through the platform. With over 20 years of experience in digital commerce, Ajay has held significant positions at major companies. Prior to joining TikTok a couple of years ago, he served as VP of e-com and digital at Unilever, where he led the company's e-commerce initiatives in the US. Before that, he had multiple roles at Amazon in the retail organization and Microsoft's technology teams. I, of course, met Ajay over a decade ago in that journey on Amazon when Amazon's retail business, consumables, was just warming up. And we had the chance to work together, kind of building things from scratch, which was exciting. We were both curious, and hence this episode. So let's welcome Ajay to the show. How you doing, man? Welcome to California. What brings you here? How you doing, first of all?
Doing very well. I love a good sunny day.
Well, Seattle, you don't get much of that anyway.
Yes, it is perhaps the only downside. Everything else is good.
Views, you guys got the views like
We
California.
have the views. There are a few places you could work for pretty much any corporate or tech company and have snow-capped peaks on all four sides out the window.
So wait, it's summer. We're recording this in the middle of June. You can actually see snow-capped peaks?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right, Mount Rainier, right?
Yeah.
Or
Mount Rainier, Mount Adams,
you name now something like that.
I think, is it Tahoma?
Something like that. But it's the tallest. Is it the tallest mountain in the continental US?
I'm not exactly sure, but there aren't that many places on Earth you can drive to work while staring at a 14,400 foot high active volcano with snow on it most of the day.
I didn't realize it's an active volcano.
Supposedly.
What brings you to California?
So we just had a very successful and first ever TikTok Shop Seller Summit yesterday in the Culver City area. There were 1,000 attendees. It was fantastic.
That's awesome, man. So congratulations on, is it a first Seller Summit or?
It is. We launched officially in September 2023, so less than 2 years ago. And so it was a great moment to share education, celebrate with sellers, creators, TikTok Shop partners. So it was very gratifying.
Awesome. I'm going to wish you the best for continuing to grow that. Hopefully 5 years out, we're looking at 10,000 attending the actual conference. And I have a gripe. Why didn't the CPG guys get an invite?
Note to self. Point
There we go. So 2026 peoples. Guess who'll be at the conference? Any guesses? The CPG guys. So in the digital liner notes of this episode, of course, we'll include links to your LinkedIn profile, TikTok's corporate websites, LinkedIn page for listeners to access while we go on with the conversation. So obviously, Ajay, the very first question I'm curious about, as I mentioned, we've worked together over a decade. We've known each other. You were on Amazon on the beauty side. I was working for Johnson & Johnson. Since then, you moved to Unilever. You were there for quite a bit of time, leading the e-commerce digital efforts. Big job, not an easy one, because Unilever is a legacy company, obviously modernized today, but still one of the best at what they do from a branding perspective. Then you came over to TikTok on the beauty commerce side. But what inspired your transition from Unilever and Amazon to come over to TikTok? What's the big aha?
Yeah, I think what's really core to me is curiosity. I really want to figure out how things work, and I like to maximize learning. That's my mantra for life: learning maximization. And so, I started as an engineer on the product side. Curiosity brought me to business roles at Amazon. It was actually curiosity about how brands and marketing worked, and how what we sold in e-commerce was actually decided and then marketed and launched. That took me over to the CPG side. And so I'm passionate about shopping, love e-commerce. And, at this point, 2.5 years ago, I had multiple lenses on what we do, from the platform side, from the brand side, from the technology side. And so it was very compelling to try to leverage that at TikTok Shop. But honestly, what brought me to TikTok was just curiosity. I was curious about how a three-sided e-commerce marketplace would work. I hadn't worked directly with creators before, and that was really compelling to me. I just had to figure it out. And essentially, curiosity got the better of me. And that was a little over 2 years ago. And I will say that every day I learn something new as we build this three-sided ecosystem, partnering with brands, partnering with creators, learning how creators make their decisions was just that was whole net new learning for me. And then, of course, delivering a good user and shopper experience. And it's been a fantastic journey.
No doubt, a fantastic journey. The CPG guys were recently at CAGNY, and then with Nick Modi from RBC Capital. He's the darling of Wall Street. That's what I call him. And also kryptonite of CPG CEOs, because he actually observes, comments, and he's the analyst for many of those stocks. I asked him a question on the podcast, right? Do we feel the talent, senior talent, C-suite talent in CPGs today are ready for today's consumer? He said, absolutely not. And let me tell you what he said is the number one thing C-suites lack: curiosity. So hello, my friend. You started with curiosity. This is going to be a fun conversation. So you said before, we've discussed it, a shopping journey that one took 19 days can take 19 seconds on TikTok. I certainly buy a lot of stuff on TikTok. You can see them around in the studio room. We're recording right now from the TikTok shop. But you say that the reason that shopping journey can be condensed into 19 seconds is it's the content that delivers for the brand in question over here and for the consumer. How does that happen on the brand side and then on the consumer behavioral side?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with what I think we all know as common ground, which is the traditional e-commerce journey. It still tends to be a bit linear in that...
Lots of friction.
There can be, but it starts with usually you knowing what you want, you searching for what you want, you parsing through search results, you making the right choice, add to cart, shows up in 2 days, right? It works really well if you know what you're looking for.
Yep.
It works less well for newness.
Yep.
And this is a problem. CPG, beauty, any trend-driven category has had for a while. Linear search-based journeys aren't the best for discovery.
They don't encourage discovery.
Right, that's right.
Unless you're overpaying for search, and even then it's a stretch.
Yeah, so that's right. And so discovery and newness don't pop as much with traditional e-commerce, but TikTok and TikTok Shop are discovery commerce. And it's important to recognize that TikTok, first and foremost, is an entertainment app. It's fun. People might check other apps, but they watch TikTok, right? And so within the construct of this fantastic entertainment app that is TikTok, we've introduced TikTok Shop is discovery commerce. And so let's talk about how it works. it starts with our teams partnering with brands, large, mid-size, small SMBs, founder-led brands, to teach them how to partner with creators at scale, and not in a traditional point-to-point influencer marketing kind of way, but in a way where brands open up their products to be seen and sampled by hundreds, thousands, millions of creators. And there is nothing that can rival the creativity of creators and power users of your products. Because let's not forget, creators are just real people who are passionate about products in certain categories and know how to make compelling content. And so the way it works is when brands partner with creators at scale, you get tons of content from which quality content emerges. And that quality content is what drives compelling moments that you have. And they could be short video, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute long. They could be live streams that can go on for hours. You could also just discover a product on what we call Shop Tab, which is you browse and search for it. But what makes it compelling is that while you're, looking at your For You page on the TikTok feed, you could come across something that is just compelling and hooks you. And suddenly you go from, I wasn't even in the market for something like this, but I gotta have it. And so this happened to me recently. I came across this handheld vacuum. It was just USB charged. And what stopped me in my scroll was this person was using this handheld car vac to make beautiful lines on the felt in the back of his car.
Yep.
And I was captivated. Was I in the market for yet another handheld vac?
Absolutely not.
Because I had two perfectly good ones sitting in my garage, but it worked so well. I just had to have it. And I went from not being in the category, not being in the market for it, not being in consideration phase, to just wanting to have it. And I'll tell you that because of watching those videos, I knew how to use it and like how to get in nooks and crannies. And I found more and more uses for it. And everyone kind of has their equivalent of this discovery moment. And that's what TikTok Shop is designed to deliver in a really compelling way.
The interesting thing, Ajay, I'll comment on this one is, Peter and I talked to CMOs from the largest brands in the world, right? Both brand and retail. And they talk about how they're building loyalty, a customer base. Peter and I always ask him, what are you doing about social commerce? What are you doing? In particular, we ask him about TikTok as a very large growth platform, get your message out there. You called it an entertainment platform. And the number one answer I get back from CMOs is they say either security, that's why I'm not on TikTok. The second one that I get is, I don't have time. And then I ask back, if you don't study the consumer, you're literally telling me I won't make time to study the consumer. And then they take a step back. My hunch is they just get intimidated by modern social media platforms. That's why they don't. And agencies are not doing the greatest job in educating brands that when you're building a marketing mix model, social commerce has just got to be absolutely a part of it, especially what you highlighted, discovery, above and beyond anything else. So when you launch an innovation, it could be the most endemic food brand at $4.99. Totally making it up, Ajay. Discovery today is done via the handheld device. The consumer is captivated, as you just mentioned. That one is a pet peeve of mine. Why CMOs, brand VP after brand VP, they don't even have accounts on social media. But maybe it's that word, curious. Are they curious?
Possibly. What I'll add to that as context is, look, there is a generation of shoppers whose shopping habits are being formed. And it's great to see that. We see that on a daily basis. And I think there's a lot to learn. Because discovery through TikTok is kind of core behavior for a lot of users, and that user behavior is changing. What's also changing is brands coming along on this journey with us. So, and they've realized that TikTok Shop is great for discovery. So I'll give you a stat. So 4 in 5 TikTok users say they discovered a product from a brand that they already knew
Wow.
on TikTok Shop.
Wow.
So roughly 80%. And that insight is at the heart of why many brands want to partner with TikTok Shop, because intuitively they see trends happening and there is a desire to be part of making these trends happen and showcasing your brand in a very digitally native, fun way.
Now, typically when brands partner with you, are these the largest brands in the world, the smallest brands, mid-tier, or is it a mix of all of them?
It is absolutely a mix.
It's good to hear. So let's talk about strategies. TikTok has viral moments, plenty of viral moments. I still remember when I left corporate America for a year in 2020 and created my own supplements brand that was later sold. We had this nurse come on. She was relatively small, but she said something about one of our supplements. It was the middle of COVID, and we were in the right need state: sleep, stress, anxiety, that kind of stuff. And that one evening after that viral TikTok moment that we had with her, we sold maybe 8,000 units in an hour. Normally, in a startup, selling 8,000 units takes a month. And that changed the trajectory of our movement, period. So I'm going to put that as your backdrop, but I'm giving you small numbers here, right? So talk to me about strategies, viral TikTok moments. How do you actually make them effective? For brands, that was a moment, 8,000 units, but how do you sustain that?
Yeah, I'm smiling over here because what you just said, which is something caught fire on TikTok and next day we sold through or we couldn't keep in stock.
We did sell through. It was like we sold out.
Yeah, that's right. I cannot tell you how many conversations with brands in the last 2-ish years have gone exactly that way, because that is their experience. And so I'll highlight 2 or 3 top strategies that brands lean into and that have worked for them. The first one is what happens on TikTok Shop doesn't just stay on TikTok Shop. I think intuitively we get this, but brands are starting to figure it out. And so what a key strategy is for most brands is when they're launching a new product, they will seed that product with samples to the right set of creators that generates the kind of content that creates buzz, that creates hype, that makes discovery possible, and then that can have offline halo. So really compelling thing we learned is that 2 in 5 users that discovered a product on TikTok later went to a physical location that sells that product. 2 in 5.
So brick and mortar.
That's right. So what's
the big brands are going to be very happy to hear you say that.
Yeah. So
me, not so much.
So yeah, what happens on TikTok Shop doesn't just.
We love everybody here on the CPG guys.
Oh yeah. So offline halo is one great
That's
strategy.
Good to hear.
Another one is, I think
this is good for retail to hear as well, because they worry about trips.
I agree. There's a lot of trends that happen online on TikTok have impact on DTC or retailer.coms.
I want to give you another example. So about 2 years ago, fruit roll-ups, are you familiar with them?
Of course.
Those long roll-ups, that's what they are. General Mills makes them. And some kid put ice cream with fruit roll-ups. And for the next 3 weeks, we couldn't keep fruit roll-ups in stock in store. To the point where chief merchants gave me a call. Brick and mortar. What the heck is going on? What disappointed me is General Mills didn't recreate those moments. That should have been huge learning moment.
It's interesting that you talk about recreating those moments, because what the second strategy is basically brands recognize that TikTok Shop is basically an extension of their direct-to-consumer business, and they leverage that to jump onto trends. So partnering with creators who have content that is relevant, launching products at the right time. And so treating TikTok Shop as an extension of DTC has worked out really well for brands. And examples are they will use TikTok Shop to test and learn whether certain products work with certain creators and audiences. They will get feedback from creators and then incorporate that into their innovation process.
Are these mostly agencies or brands themselves? Or agencies on behalf of brands?
So we have over 1,000 TikTok shop partners today, supporting over 6,000 brands and sellers. So there is a lot of agency support as well, but we also work with brands who just directly operate their TikTok shop businesses and treat it as an extension of direct to consumer because they know it has impact beyond just TikTok shop. And that brings me to my kind of third point on strategies that work. I think brands that are more successful are the ones where the CMO or the chief brand officer or whoever's leading kind of brand and marketing realizes that TikTok shop is a platform on which you can drive GMV, which is gross merchandise value or sales, and also EMV, which is on media value. Because
I want you to speak more. The GMV is an obvious one. I don't think the largest brands in the world are convinced they get GMV at a TikTok shop, but we won't debate that today because I agree with you. This is like a no-brainer for me. EMV, I want to make sure that our audience understands what a big deal that is.
Yeah, there is a ton of value to the organic content circulating on TikTok and TikTok Shop. And what I tell brands often is when you partner for the right products in your portfolio with the right creators and it results in compelling content that's fun to watch, whether or not you shop, you may or may not get the sale on TikTok Shop, but you will definitely get the conversation. And being part of the conversation is really, really important. And that's what I mean by you'll achieve kind of brand growth objectives, but also sales objectives.
So I'm going to give you another fun example over here from literally a month ago. So again, this was given to me by Nick Modi from RBC Capital, right? I call him the Wall Street darling because he's on top of stuff. So we had his son, Sean Modi, Gen Z. He came and talked to us about TikTok. This is about a month or so ago. One of our highest performing episodes because I think it drove curiosity for even the largest brand CMOs. And he mentioned about a viral trend on TikTok that people were mixing protein powder into the Diet Coke. Coke or Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Depends on what you drink, right? So to me, I don't expect Coca-Cola to make a protein Coke, but I do expect Coca-Cola or a protein powder company to co-merchandise, leverage the trend, make retail happy, and drive some volume. I didn't see it in store. Deeply disappointed. Again, I think it comes back to senior most leaders. Are they on the platform? Now, this was an actual viral trend. If you're a protein powder company and if you're a carbonated soft drink company, why the heck wouldn't you leverage that moment? Just co-merchandise. Don't drive yourself crazy. Don't create the next product. Isn't that what trends are? Take advantage of them for the moment.
I fully agree because that is where your consumer's mind is. In particular,
you know what I got as an answer why they didn't? We can never merchandise this brand equity with that. Bro, your consumer's doing it anyway. They're already moved past that.
Yeah, brands at least on TikTok and TikTok Shop have generally open mindsets about collaborating with creators, collaborating with other brands, and we can certainly get into that.
I want to see bigger brands show up because they're missing the playing field and they're actually denying the consumer, who should be our king and queen, the ability to get to see a brand truly perform, because it's a myth that only Gen Z is on TikTok. I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours on TikTok every day, and I'd love for my audience to laugh about that. How does she do it? Because that's what I learn. I find out trends. Peter and I spend an hour and a half. It's our daily mantra that we have to.
That's great. You'll learn a lot.
Plus, for my kids, it's life for my kids at this stage, given they're musicians. So let me remind our audience that I'm talking to Ajay Salpekar from TikTok Shop. So let's now start talking about insights into how TikTok Shop is leveling the playing field for emerging small beauty brands, right?
Yeah.
So here's why I ask you this question. Large brand CMOs, not on TikTok, don't understand, UGC scares them. This has got to be a weapon for smaller brands. And honestly, if I'm a small brand, I'm like, I love UGC, man. I'm going to use this and I'm going to drive my numbers. It's all shared at the end of the day.
Got it. I'm happy to share thoughts on just what TikTok Shop means for small and emerging brands. And we we particularly enjoy partnering with small brands to help them get discovered. And we take that mission seriously. So I'll if you recall, I shared a stat that 4 in 5 TikTok users discover products from a brand they already knew.
Yep.
The interesting thing is
80%.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is 4 in 5 TikTok users also report that they discovered net new brands on TikTok.
New brands. So new to brand, which is the hardest metric today.
Correct. And I think if you're a small brand, hungry, nimble, agile, that works in your favor.
Oh yeah,
right. And so they certainly tap into TikTok Shop because for them it is sales, it is marketing, it is awareness, it is reason to be that and their DTC side, right? If you thinking back to kind of the CPG landscape, usually historically it's been a tussle between the scale of a large company and how much shelf space they own versus the creativity of small, nimble brands. With TikTok Shop, the equation is totally different because it is the creativity you have as a brand that drives scale.
Absolutely.
And so you are only limited by the ideas you have for your portfolio, your products, and how willing you are to partner with creators, because that's literally what they're great at, right? They understand the product, they understand their followers, and they know what stories are compelling. And so small brands generally are fantastic at creativity. Big brands can be as well, but it certainly helps small and medium brands. And what goes hand in hand with it is the kind of content that's native to TikTok and TikTok Shop isn't the agency and studio produced, horizontally shot, TV spots. It's
don't make me laugh.
Vertical,
yeah.
Handheld. It feels native. It feels authentic, and not just to Gen Z. And so it tends to work really well for small emerging brands.
Interesting thing you're noticing today is this video has actually been shot horizontally. But if you go to LinkedIn, we don't have a single video that's horizontal. So
I see.
Take a look. What happens is this gets edited and made into a vertical clip.
I see.
What happens is when we sit next to each other, we need the depth. That's why we shoot in hard. But we don't make videos anymore that are horizontal at all whatsoever, because
that's good.
Captivation happens this way. It does
exactly.
Nobody turns their phone unless they're watching Netflix or something of that nature. But large brand, small brand, mid-tier brands, all of them worry about metrics and what they get back. ROI is the right word. I won't say worry. It's important that they get ROI in their investments, because that's how they keep coming back and doing the right thing for the consumer on the TikTok platform, right? So can you give a quick overview for how do you define success for the world you're in, which is beauty brands on TikTok Shop, and then what kind of metrics do you prioritize irrespective of brand size?
So before I get into metrics, what defines success, I'll just point out that if I think through the journey of brands that have been very successful over the last 2 years and brands that have had slower journeys, the key differentiator isn't analytical or metrics driven. The key differentiator is mindset. Mindset is the big dial. Mindset is what determines how quickly you can move and how quickly you learn and how quickly you optimize, right? And so it's just something that that needed to be said. Moving into what success looks like, it varies by brands, size, age and stage of brand, what their retail landscape looks like, what their consumer audience looks like, price point. But in general, brand objectives span the gamut from awareness and sales, or they look at TikTok Shop as the place to launch net new products, or they look at TikTok Shop as a fantastic way to drive halo in offline channels, where a brick and mortar or online retail. There was a time when a retailer might ask a brand what the size of their direct to consumer business was, how many one-to-one relationships they have with consumers. Today, I think it's expanded because we get this feedback from brands. Retailers are interested in, is it trending on TikTok? What does the content look like? How many hashtags?
Chief merchants have asked me that question, right? I know many of the Walmart, even the SVPs now and the VPs, buyers, merchants, they actually do follow TikTok trends. I don't want to name them, but because if I name them and I don't name some others, they're all my friends. I don't want to leave some. But Walmart merchants are on top of TikTok trends. If you're a brand, that should scare you into being on the platform.
Well, I think it's cool. I just think this is cool.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question about metrics, so I think input metrics are more interesting than the output metrics, like GMV or sales. So the input metrics that we advise brands to really pay attention to have all to do with content and creators, because that is what drives discovery.
So how important is quality
commerce.
of content?
So
How do you even measure quality of content?
Metrics that matter are the quantity of short videos or live streams, new short videos, new live streams on a weekly basis.
So define quantity.
It's just sheer number.
So let's say it's a day and you post 5. Is that what you define as quantity? Or is it day not the right horizon?
You can study it daily, weekly, monthly. They're all valid time periods, but a number of new short videos, new live streams. So the number really
Short
matters.
is 30 seconds?
I meant, so we have two content formats. There's a video format and then there's live. And typically short videos are short, a few seconds, couple of minutes, live streams can go on. And so content quantity is a metric we really pay attention to. Within content quantity, we look at content quality. How many of those short videos or live streams have high conversion? Because the product is compelling, the creator is a great match for the brand, it's a high quality creator. Another metric that we advise brands on is how many creators they're connected to. And how many creators do they retain? So how many creators continually post for brands? And it's basically the volume of content, the quality of content, and the newness of content that makes the content commerce flywheel spin. And this doesn't mean that retail basics don't matter. Of course, your product quality, in-stock, all of that matters because retail is detail. But it is truly the content and creator-focused metrics that really matter on TikTok Shop.
Speaking of the creator, let's jump into that world a little bit more. So how do you see the role of creators evolving in the context of brand storytelling, product launches? You've described product launches at length here, but give us insights into the creative mindset and the ability to create long-term partnerships with brands, etc. And then, especially in the world you're in, beauty, I got to imagine that's deep.
Certainly. And I'll say just personally, it's been really gratifying to learn to work backwards from the creator and speaking with creators, understanding how she or he make that decision about which brands, which products, what matters to them. It's been fantastic learning for me and the team. So I'll start with actually user or consumer insight. So 75% of TikTok users tell us they prefer seeing a creator show a product to reading a customer review.
Wow. Okay.
That's a pretty high number.
That's a big deal.
It's because it's just compelling when it's just another real user showing you how they use a product, or why they bought a product, or how well or not well it works. Right?
I gave you my own personal example before. I was driving my Range Rover today, and it actually said coolant level low. I didn't go to YouTube. I didn't go to other platforms. I don't know what drove me to TikTok, but I went to TikTok and I literally wrote engine coolant for Range Rover Sport HSE 2024. And I got hundreds of videos. I looked through 5. I knew what to buy. Unfortunately, it wasn't available on the TikTok shop, but I knew exactly what to buy. But more importantly, I also discovered I had never opened the hood of that car. How you actually fill coolant, because it wasn't like every other vehicle. There was a special way to get there.
That was a fun example. Well, you discovered a lot that day.
I certainly did. Today, man. This afternoon.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So creators are central to how users or consumers increasingly make purchase decisions. And this really ties to the Gen Z mindset for sure, where, there's many studies about how, particularly for the Gen Z demographic, there's perhaps less trust in authority or establishments, more trust in people that they can relate to.
Absolutely.
And that's what that's kind of the relationship many folks have with creators. And so a creator demonstrating why this product worked for her is really compelling. It's also the content is native and approachable as opposed to very, very high production value and looking like a TV spot. And I also think that particularly in Gen Z audiences, they expect to be a part of the conversation with brands, and interacting with creators, commenting back and forth, following creators allows them to be part of this
Absolutely. Yeah.
the ecosystem, and so I think that works really well, and creators are central to that. So when you asked about the creator mindset, so a lot of things, we actually ask the question, what matters to creators when they choose brands, when they choose what products to promote? And the number one thing they say is not the compensation or how big or small a brand is. The number one thing that matters to most creators is, would I use that product? Is it interesting to me? Does it match me? And
So
my
Ajay, so
brand?
another real life example, right? The band Cat's Eye that my daughter's in, they get a lot of offers. But they're started picking and choosing with this exact qualification. Can I relate to the brand and will I use it? If I don't use it in my daily life, I don't want to tell the story of the brand and then shortchange them either.
That's right. That's exactly right. That is the mindset most creators have. They want to authentically be able to show how they use the product and have a credible opinion on it. And so creators seek quality as well, as do brands. And when it comes to partnering with creators and brands, what matters is it's not just the number of creators, it's also the quality of the relationships that brands have with creators. And 5 or 10 years ago, perhaps only the most sophisticated or digitally savvy brands had a creator strategy. Today, 100% of brands with their name have a creator strategy, and TikTok Shop and TikTok are very central to that today.
Good to hear, man. So speaking of that very creative strategy, can you give me actual examples, maybe one from a large brand and then from a not so large brand, of successful creative brand collaborations on TikTok Shop that actually drove results for the brand?
I'll give you two in a category that's close to me, which is beauty. I'll start with a small brand example. We have a fantastic fragrance brand called Aroma Concepts. It's a small brand. Most people haven't heard of it unless you're on TikTok.
Love the name though.
Yeah, and it's a small company, and they specialize in Arabic themed fragrances.
Yep.
And they have built a fantastic model, live streaming.
Wow.
And the way they did that was by partnering with creators. So they discovered a creator called Omaveri. So it's Omavery. Her name is Avery. And she happened to be a fantastic live streaming host and creator and really had a nose and a sense for fragrances. And they discovered her through the TikTok Shop app, and then partnered with her to launch line extensions or fragrances. They did the same thing with another
all through lives.
Yeah, all through lives. They did the same thing with another creator called Daniel Rene Music. His name is Daniel Rene. He specializes in music and fragrance, and he can certainly tell a fantastic story about fragrance. And so they partnered with him to also launch net new innovations. And so it's the agility of a small brand and the openness to partner with creator. And
they're curious.
Yeah, certainly. So that's a great example that we love, particularly in fragrance, which you can't really smell.
Yep, absolutely.
But
Too hard.
It works, right? And then a large brand example is, I'm sure you've heard of a skincare brand, Peter Thomas Roth. They've been around for decades, very well regarded, but typically catering to older audiences because it's it's that type of skincare. And so they were almost, they saw a resurgence on TikTok Shop because one of their most viral products, Instant Formex, went viral. And one of their creator collaborations is with a creator called Sherry Doll. She's an older creator, and her video, she's so compelling. It's just a minute or two of her in front of her bathroom mirror, no special lighting, where she applies the Instant Firmex just under one eye. And it's a product that that kind of tightens the skin up, particularly of lines and wrinkles. And I'm not specifically in that category. I wasn't looking for it, but I stopped and watched because I couldn't stop watching for about a minute, and the effect was apparent. So there was no before and after, there's no claim. It's just visually compelling in a very simple video.
It's coming back to the visually compelling content is what I take away again and again and again.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, whatever brand or category you're in, there is a path for you.
Yeah.
By partnering with enough creators and then identifying the ones that work with you.
Makes complete sense. So let me wrap it up with the last question here. And we always ask this question of our guests here, which is an advice question. So for brands, retailers, agencies listening to this episode, what advice would you give them in terms of best practices that you'd recommend when collaborating with creators to make sure they're both effective but also authentic? We talked about authenticity.
Got it. I love the question because it allows me to crystallize what I've learned and share. And I'll start with advice. Maybe 2 or 3 points. The first is, it's great for brands to bring a beginner's mindset to content, creator, discovery, commerce.
Do you find that often?
Increasingly, yeah. And
It's good to hear.
And those folks make the best partners. And so the beginner's mindset is assuming you don't know everything on day one, but we will figure it out. And it's okay to test and learn. And that brings me to my second point. I think your success increasingly will be determined by how fast you test and learn, how fast you fail, learn what to switch away from. And the faster you test and learn, the sooner you'll figure out what to double down on. And brands that do that routinely tend to do better. I would also advise maybe don't try to control every pixel of creative in the entire journey, like kind of the old times. Lean into the creativity of creators because that's where the most compelling content comes from.
Awesome. Ajay, let me remind our listeners you can find all of our content by simply going to a web browser, typing cpgguys.com as the URL. Yes, that easy. If you or someone you know has something to contribute to this ongoing discussion on the CPG Guys, drop us a line at contact@cpgguys.com. Again, that email is contact@cpgguys.com. To our audience, thank you for the clicks, likes, comments, DMs, meeting us at trade shows, coming to our events, recording episodes with us, and of course our sponsors. We're always grateful for you. The show doesn't exist without all of you. You work with us all year, and we're grateful to have you as our audience and partners. Thank you. Ajay, you made time on a busy week, arguably here, launching a conference here with creators, TikTok shop. Thank you for making time and joining us on the CPG Guys.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, and be curious.
Ajay, I just said that's the last question, but it wasn't. Because the last question, which we actually ask, is trends, the future. I want to ask you personally, what trends are you following? But most importantly, as TikTok Shop grows, what gift can you bestow on them? What should they be thinking about?
Look, I'll tell you a fun one. TikTok's an entertainment app where you kind of scroll, you view content, you occasionally shop. Conventionally, you don't think of it as a place for search, but let me share some fantastic data. I was really pleased and surprised to learn nearly 3 in 5 TikTok users use the search functionality in the app. Primarily an entertainment app, but nearly 3 in 5 TikTok users use search, and 1 in 4 TikTok users will go to the search bar in the first 30 seconds of loading the app.
I gave you my example of search.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, you were those 1 in 4, and
the 50-year-old dude is one in 4 now.
Well, you are avant-garde, but I think to me, having been in kind of the commerce industry for a while, this feels like a progression in consumer behavior where the first place you go is, oh, let me check it out on TikTok, right? Because I think there is a validity to just seeing videos from other users or creators.
Other people like me.
Yeah, exactly. So my personal example is, look, if I have to search for a hotel for my family, I'll go check out Google. I'll go check out TripAdvisor. I'll look at Costco Travel. Most folks on my team, they just pull up TikTok.
I go to TikTok.
And just look at videos of folks guests walking through hotel rooms, and you're done, right? And
the reason I go to TikTok and not other platforms is I want to see the short form content. I don't want the 30-minute video.
Yeah. So, it's something for all of us to think about, like how is something core like search evolving, and how should we keep that in mind?
So we're going to Cannes Lions Festival. I'm actually leaving tomorrow. Peter and I will be there. And I wanted to see where the Airbnb we're staying at is. And I went to TikTok shop to look around. I went to TikTok to see the area.
That's great. Well, I'm glad you're using it and having fun while doing it.
That's a wrap of this episode. We will see you soon on another episode of the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.